All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Say What? Barstool Parlay. We're back again. I know it's been a minute, guys, but listen to me. We got a lot of great content coming out this week. Loads of videos coming out. It's going to be great. But let's get into this, okay, guys? Let's get into this right off the jump. So, what we're going to be talking about today is a little bit of COVID procedures, a little bit of what's going on with restrictions, social distancing laws, and how we're handling some things that happen overseas, and really the scary mindset that's invaded our culture, freedom, our population, and realistically our citizens, man. It's really scary when you get on social media and you get online and you see people's comments and you see what people are talking about. It's really, 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 really scary to see what people actually believe nowadays. And we're going to get into that. And the story that we're going to be talking about is a big story right now. And this is the story we're going to be using as a basis to show you guys exactly my thought process and what we're talking about with these issues. So the story that we're going to use, let me go over this for you guys, is a teenage girl who's an American citizen, goes over to the Cayman Islands. Her name's, let me make sure I say it right, it's Skyler Mack. So Skyler Mack went to the Cayman Islands to see, I'm assuming to see her boyfriend, who is a resident of the Cayman Islands, who's 24. So right off the jump, on a side note, I got a lot of questions for her parents. She's dating a 24-year-old foreign dude when she's 18. Okay, anyway, beyond that, moving on. The point of this is she goes to Cayman Islands, and when you get there, there's a 14-day restriction. So when you get to the Cayman Islands, you have to quarantine for 14 days before you're allowed to go out and about and mingle in the population. Well, her boyfriend, I'm assuming, is some type of professional or semi-professional jet ski racer. So he had a race that he was supposed to be competing in. All right. She decided that she wants to go to the race. Screw it. I don't care about the quarantine law. Screw it. I'm going to the race. They have like this quarantine tracker, I guess, that they put on them. So she cut off the tracker, the tracker bracelet. She cuts that off, goes to the race, gets arrested for breaking the law. Okay, fine. Now, before I get into my thoughts on this, I want to dictate by saying this, all right? I understand that if you go to another country, you need to follow the laws of that country, okay? Agree with that. Understand that. If you don't know the laws of that country, you probably shouldn't be going. That should be one of the first things you're looking up and figuring out before you go there, so situations like this don't occur. But with that being said, let me also preface this by saying we can all agree that there's certain countries like China, for example, or North Korea, for example, where their laws do not meet the crime. They are far beyond excessive and abnormal. I think we can all agree on that, okay? When you go graffiti something in North Korea and get sentenced 50 years of hard labor, I think we can all agree that's excessive. That's not reasonable. Should you be doing it in the first place? No. You're an idiot for even putting yourself in that situation, graffitiing that building. But as a country, it's also our job to get those people home, because the punishment is not equivalent to the crime, okay? So let's just get that out on the table off the jump. Now, the next thing that I want to touch base on is what was supposed to happen. And that's the key to this entire story, is what's supposed to happen. And when I explain this to you guys, you're going to understand where I'm coming from and why I say the thought process with people in this country nowadays is not only strange, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Okay? So the fine or the penalty for this in the Cayman Islands is a $2,600 fine, 40 hours of community service. Not crazy unreasonable. I think $2,600 is a lot of money for breaking a social distancing procedure, but their laws don't really have too much beef with that. You know, whatever, $2,600 and 40 hours of community service. Okay, whatever. Got it. You know, they're trying to incentivize people not to obviously break this law and follow social distancing guidelines so they can keep things open and keep people safe, because they are a huge tourist destination, so they can't have tourism shut down. Okay, no problems with that. Fair enough. Here's my problem with this. She didn't get sentenced with that, guys. They didn't sentence her for a $2,600 fine and 40 hours of community service. Because she's an American, they discriminated against her in court because she's an American and said, because you're an American, we're not even going to sentence you with the crime you committed. Her crime, her violation was not following the 14-day quarantine guideline. That was her crime. They said, forget that. We're not going to charge you with that. We're going to charge you with reckless endangerment. And there's a couple other things that they like tacked on that go along with like reckless endangerment. What? Reckless endangerment. So now she's been sentenced to 4 months in prison. In prison. For not quarantining herself for 14 days. She's in prison. In prison for 4 months. Here's the next kicker. You guys, believe me, guys, it only gets worse. Her boyfriend, who had nothing to do with the whole scenario, he just shows up to race his jet ski, and after the race is like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? I thought you're going to get in trouble for breaking this quarantine. He had nothing to do with the whole scenario. Just because he's her boyfriend, he was sentenced to the same sentence for aiding and abetting a known criminal. So the guy shows up to participate in an event that he's legally allowed to participate in, and he gets charged with aiding and abetting a criminal. Just for racing a jet ski. He gets 4 months in prison just for racing a jet ski. Had nothing to do with the entire thing, got charged with guilt by association to the exact same sentence on a different crime. 2 crimes, same sentence, both people charged with things they didn't do. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? All right. So, I see. So, they charge her with a crime she doesn't commit. She spends 4 months in prison. Her boyfriend's charged with aiding and abetting a criminal. Gets the same 4 month in prison sentence. And people are okay with this. No problem. She deserved it. She absolutely deserved it. Well, guess what, guys? If you haven't watched our COVID video, it's really great. We actually lay out the facts about COVID, not all the hyped up bull crap. We lay out how people come in for car accidents and die in the ER, and they're listed as a COVID death. Hence, we talked about incentivizing in our election video. Check that out if you haven't seen it. When you incentivize people and give them an endless pot of money, they're going to exploit that. Hospitals get paid $30,000 to list people as COVID patients. Every COVID patient is 30 grand to the hospital. So you're telling me as a hospital director, which hospitals, despite whether we want to like the opinion or not, it's a fact, hospitals are businesses, okay? So as a business and a business owner, like if I'm the director of the hospital, you're telling me that the government says we'll give you a free $30,000 for every patient that is diagnosed with X. And you're telling me that I'm not going to diagnose as many people with X as possible to get all that free money that's completely uncapped? Wake up, guys. Money rules the world. Of course I'm going to misdiagnose people on purpose because it's free money to me. Duh. All right. But like I said, we've talked about that. That's a different video. It's a whole other thing. But the reason that I bring that up is because it goes back to the same thing of COVID is not the virus people make it out to be. It is not as serious as people make it out to be. I personally know of people who have friends. I have acquaintances. I know of 200 people directly associated with my friend group or friends of friends. I know of 200 people that have caught COVID. You know how many of them died? You know how many of them went to the ER? You know how many of them were sick for more than 4 days? Like 50%. You know how many of them even showed no symptoms at all? They showed no symptoms. They didn't even know they were sick until they, did some tracing. Oh, well, you were in contact with so-and-so. You got to go get tested. They didn't even know they were sick. Like 30% didn't even know they were sick. It's outrageous, guys. Now, with that being said, don't misconstrue what I'm saying, because I can already see the comments flying in. COVID serious, what are you talking about? COVID's the most serious thing in the world. COVID kills people. Before just the barrage of Cheeto-fingered hate mail comes in, listen to me. COVID is a serious illness. Like the flu or any other virus, they're all serious. And like the flu or any other virus, if you have an underlying health condition, say a heart problem, say a respiratory issue like mesothelioma, or you're just elderly and you have a weak immune system, for you to catch this could be very serious. You probably will end up in the ER and you could die. Like I said, guys, that's the same with every virus that's serious, like the flu. So, with that being said, let me also preface another point. Just because it's very serious or dangerous to a select group of the population, which I just named, does not mean it's serious and dangerous to everyone. Hence, if I know people, they're roughly around my age, guys. I'm 26. They're roughly around my age. And they're doing just fine. Because if you're healthy and you're below the age of 65, your risk of dying from COVID, and this is facts, look it up, please feel free to fact check me, is 0.001% chance of death. With all those vulnerable people that I just named included, the entire population, COVID has less than a 1% fatality rate. We've dealt with pandemics before, guys. We've dealt with deadly flus. We've dealt with Ebola. We've dealt with all these things. We've never responded like this. It's insane. Anyway, back to the point. I'm going to talk to you guys about, like I said, this scenario. Kind of got off on a tangent there for a minute, but I think it's important given what we're about to talk about. So, the reason that I brought up what I just brought up about COVID and everything else is all the people are sitting there saying, well, that's okay. She deserved it. She deserved it. Are the people who are sitting there saying COVID will kill everybody. If you catch it, you'll die, which is not true. They're also the people sitting there believing, which is another reason I brought up what I just did, believing all the inflated numbers. We don't even actually have real numbers because they're all inflated. They're all bullcrap. And there's multiple families, guys. I mean, I'm not just out here on a limb talking about this stuff, okay? Do your own research on things. Don't just believe what Yahoo News tells you on Facebook because it's bullcrap. Don't just believe what you see on TV. And I don't care what news station you watch, Fox, CNN. Don't believe any of them. It's cable TV. It's all crap. It's all lies. It's just one perspective or another. Go do actual research. Look up people who have literally gone viral because they had somebody in the hospital who passed away who was not a COVID patient, and the hospital put on the death certificate COVID. That stuff happens, guys. Look it up. It's not hard to find that. What I'm saying is not bullshit. It's easy to find these scenarios and find these facts, okay? You just have to apply yourself and want to be aware of what's going on in the world around you. You have to want to know things. You have to want to know the truth. You have to want to educate yourself on things that are important in your life. Just like today, COVID is something that's affecting all of our lives. So today, that's something that's very important to us that we need to educate ourselves about because it's affecting our everyday life. Do some research. Don't be lazy. Get off your damn video game and learn something about the real world. All right? Now, with that being said, I'm literally going to share with you guys live comments from my social media page when I posted a comment about this particular situation. And this is where I'm going with this, which is the mindset of people that is terrifying. And once I get through these comments, we're going to dive into this a little bit more. Okay, so as I said, I'm literally going to read you guys my live comments on this. Somebody commented on this, and this is what I replied to. Okay, somebody commented on this post and said, typical American mentality. The rules don't apply to me. Just look at the president modeling this behavior for the whole world to see. That was the comment. Read the comment, said, oh, I'm going in on this. I'm definitely commenting on this. Okay, so that was the comment that I commented on. So here's the problem, number one, with their comment. Typical American mentality. The funny thing is, everybody says things like, like this situation, oh, breaking the rules, that's a typical American mentality. But they're an American. Like, you're an American. And you don't have that mentality. And according to you guys, which is another video we'll get into later this week, election and voter fraud and all that stuff, according to you guys, Joe Biden won the election. And he had a record number of people. So doesn't that mean that there's a majority of Americans that feel exactly the same way as you, that about COVID and everything else, and like believe in rules and like they're just like you? Okay, so the typical American mentality is something that's dictated by the minority. I don't think typical anything's dictated by the minority of anything. So already we've dictated multiple points that don't make any sense. Okay, and this is like the most like coherent comment. All right, and then I'm not even going to touch base on the president's modeling behavior. Like, that's just such a stupid thing. I'm not even going to comment on that. Okay, so my reply, guys, prison is not even the sentence. This isn't their rules. It's a $2,600 fine in community service. They upped it on her because she is an American and wanted to make a hard example out of her, which is not fair and total bullshit. That was my comment, okay? So he says, the American mentality is rules don't apply to me. My comment is, they didn't even sentence her by their own rules. They didn't follow their own rules. So what are you talking about? Apparently their own rules don't apply to them either. Their rules don't apply to anybody, them or us. Okay? And then obviously I educated him and told him the actual consequence for what she did, which is public record and released in the post. And for all you guys talking about like, oh, well, you're a conservative or you're a Republican, one, like I said before, guys, I'm independent. Two, this is off Yahoo News, which is the most liberal news site in the US, okay? Like makes CNN look like Sean Hannity, all right? So anyway, he replies to this. Now, I want to ask you guys a question before I read his comment because it's really short. Is what he said and what I said related in any way? Are they in any way related? Are we at all making the same point? His point is she deserves it because she broke the rules, and that's the typical mentality of nobody breaks the rules. I said she didn't break the rules. Well, she broke the rules, but they broke their own rules when they sentenced her to an unfair sentence. So that's total bullshit, and I don't agree with the sentence. How are those the same points? How are those the same points? Please explain to me how we're saying the same thing right now. I would love somebody to explain that, okay? With that being said, his comment. You have just proven my point. How did I prove your point? We're not making the same point. That doesn't make any sense. Don't worry, guys, it gets dumber. So I reply of, so your point is we should follow their rules because it's fair when they don't follow their own rules. That's like me walking down the street, tossing a banana peel and getting charged with a $100 littering fine, then going to court where they then make up a new charge of attempted murder because someone could slip and fall on the peel and get a 5-year prison sentence just because they felt like changing the crime. That's not right. Anyone who pretends like it is should have it happen to them and see how much they agree with it. Okay, that's my reply. Now I want to talk to you guys because there's a metaphor in there that I want to touch base on because it's very, very, very important to the overall concept of what we're talking about here. This person believes that it's okay to have laws that go all over the place and there's no sentence for laws. It's all based on however the judge feels that day, however the cop feels, however, we feel like charging you with, whether we like you, we don't like you, you look funny, you're from a different country, you're black, you're white. We just discriminate and change the laws based on whatever the hell we want. How is that okay? How is that fine? Like I said, and that's the metaphor here, guys. How is it fine for me to go get a speeding ticket? The law is the law, guys. A speeding ticket, per se, is a $200 fine. How is it okay for that fine to magically change or that punishment for an action to magically change just because of whatever? How does anyone think it's okay for me to get pulled over, get a $200 speeding ticket, and the cop go, you know what? I don't like you. I don't know why. I just don't like you. So that speeding ticket is $1,000 for you. Wait, what? How's that fair? The last guy got a $200 ticket. Well, I liked him. Well, isn't the law that it's a $200 ticket? Yeah, I don't care about the law. I don't like you. It's $1,000. How is that okay, guys? How is a set sentence being changed to something else okay? How is that okay? All right, here's the problem with this stuff, guys, is the law is the law. It's black and white. We have certain penalties and dictations of what we believe a crime's equal punishment should be. You don't get to just change the punishment whenever you feel like it. No, it's black and white. The law is the law. You do X, you get punished with Y. That's what it is. And for anybody to think that it's okay just to change whenever the hell you feel like it is okay. It's not. It's not okay to feel like that. That's a dangerous. It's not only stupid, I mean beyond dumb, because that means at any point, at any time, I can throw a banana peel on the ground, which is $50 fine, and say, screw it. I'll take the $50 if I get caught. And then get charged with 5 years in prison and attempted murder and think that that's okay. You're not mentally sound. That's not okay. And the fact is, when you look through this post, guys, and you read, like, this is just one comment I'm talking about with somebody, but the entire post, guys, is all people. Yeah, she deserves it. Good for them. Put her in prison. That's what she deserves. Guys, this is terrifying. People think that them changing the law on her is okay just because she's American citizen. They literally changed an entire law, an entire punishment just because she's an American citizen. And anybody who thinks that it's okay to charge her boyfriend with aiding and abetting a criminal just for showing up to a jet ski race that he's supposed to race in, that's his job, is idiotic. It's mind-blowing. I mean, these are like the common sense things, guys, that absolutely drive me freaking crazy because they make no sense. And the fact that there's loads and loads of people that believe these things and actually follow this type of stuff and think that it's okay and believe that this is the right thing is terrifying, guys, because that's what communism is. There's no punishment, and dictatorship, there's no punishment, there's no law. It's just, I punish you based on however I feel like, and I do whatever I want. These are like the building blocks of how you get there. Saying a speeding ticket that's $200 is no longer $200, it's $1,000 because I don't like you. That's the small building blocks of how you get this in the long term. Of dictatorship and communism, people do whatever they think because they think it's okay for government and law and people to do whatever the hell they want to do to them and say, well, you should have done it in the first place. Despite the fact, guys, we haven't even touched base on the fact that this is a dumbass 18-year-old kid. The fact that she's an 18-year-old child, she's an idiot. She doesn't understand anything in the world. She's still learning how to manage money, get a job, figure out what her career is going to be. Like, she doesn't understand anything. Nothing. She's a moron. And for us to sit there and act like it's okay to do shit like this to a child? That's not okay. That's not fine. Guys, this mindset is really bad and it's really scary. All right. And then the comments just continue to go back and forth of what we just talked about, guys. You think it's okay charging, and you think it's okay discriminating against her because she's American, charging her boyfriend with aiding and abetting, all the things we just talked about. And then he goes into, and you visit a country and you isolate and you have X amount of laws, and then you break those laws, you deserve to be punished severely. And your reasoning, and then says, my reasoning is why 322,851 Americans have died of COVID. Just follow the public health guidelines. Which, guys, once again, if you haven't watched our COVID series, it's a 3-part series. There's 3 videos talking about all the different parts of COVID, from the actual disease to the economic effects to the social distancing guidelines and treatments and things that actually work and don't work. Watch the series. It's very good. Like we talked about earlier, those numbers are completely inflated, so he already looks like a moron. 2, like I said, in that video, we talked about those public health guidelines. There's a million reasons we know the public health guidelines don't work. It's a concept, which I'm going to talk to you guys about here briefly. It's a concept called security theater. It's the appearance of having something be accomplished, have something appear safe when it's not. Putting a mask on doesn't make you safe. It doesn't do anything. It does absolutely zero, okay? Nothing. But wearing a mask makes things appear to be safe, because it's just kind of like a logical thing in your brain where you go, oh, a mask, yeah, that would probably keep me safe, yeah. And you see everybody wearing masks, and it creates the illusion or the appearance of safety, even though the safety is not actually being obtained and you're not actually accomplishing the safety that you're setting out to achieve. So wearing masks and all these different guidelines and 6 feet and all this stuff, that's a process called security theater, the appearance of security when none actually exists, okay? I mean, seriously, guys, like guidelines, like they put plastic over a credit card machine to type in the buttons. Um, well, that's so, because of COVID, to protect people from COVID. Okay, well, doesn't everybody touch the same piece of plastic? Well, yeah. So how's that different from everybody touching the same buttons? We're all touching the same surface. What's the difference? There is none. Security, theater. That little piece of plastic makes it look safer, and then you break it down with common sense. Well, we're all touching the same thing, so I guess it really doesn't matter what we touch as long as we're all touching the same thing. Isn't that dangerous? Yeah. Guys, duh. All right. So that's the reason that people have died of COVID. Just follow the public health guidelines. No, that's the problem. Is people aren't doing anything that actually works. People aren't following guidelines that actually work because we aren't promoting any guidelines that actually work. That's why people have died. So, and here's where he looks really, really dumb, okay? Because he says, quote, she's treated like any other visitor. Anyone visiting the Cayman Islands is required to isolate for 14 days. We know. This girl was treated like any other visitor. Was she? Only she decided not to comply with the requirements. Agreed. Read all your following comments. And even he says, read all your following comments. Your fellow Americans agree she got what she deserved. In fact, the COVID death numbers are underreported. COVID death numbers are underreported. I said, I've known 200 people. I don't know anybody that's died. I don't know anybody. And everybody that I talk to who knows their own, 20, 30, 40, 5, 6, 10 people, they don't know anybody that's died. I have yet to meet anybody who knows anybody that's died. Now, I know people have. I'm not trying to say that people haven't died. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the amount of people that have died, the staggering amount of, it's the apocalypse, is not true, okay? I've never met, I know a lot of people, guys, okay? A lot of people. I've never met anybody who knows anybody who's died. I'm still waiting for one, okay? So just to break down that comment, she was treated the same as everyone else. Okay, so everyone else got a $2,600 fine and 40 hours of community service if they did this. She didn't even get charged with that. She got charged with reckless endangerment, not even breaking quarantine, which the violation, her crime was she broke quarantine. That's what she did. And she got charged with reckless endangerment. So she got 4 months in prison. So everybody else got charged with a quarantine violation and a $2,600 fine and 40 hours community service. She got charged with reckless endangerment and 4 months in prison. How is that the same thing? How was she treated like everybody else? And her boyfriend got 4 months for aiding and abetting her just for showing up to his job. How were they treated like everybody else, guys? How was that the same as everybody else? Weird. I don't know. Sounds kind of not logical to me, but who knows? Finish this up. I say, so she can be charged with a greater crime because she broke the law. So just because I break one law, I can get charged with breaking a different law I didn't break just because? Oh, it's good to know. She shouldn't be sentenced to the sentence of a crime she didn't commit. Obviously, guys, that's what we've been talking about. Thought that's how sentencing worked. Maybe I'm wrong. If you get caught speeding, you get sentenced for speeding. You don't get caught speeding and get sentenced for drunk driving. That's not how that works. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe anytime you break any law, they can charge you with anything you want. Anything they want. Hey, we got you. We got you, man. We got you. Guess what? We caught you. Gotcha. Yeah, that little graffiti you did over there, we gotcha. We caught you. Yeah, sorry guys. What you need my information, $100 fine. Oh no, boy. We got you. You get charged for first-degree murder. But I didn't kill anybody. Oh, it doesn't matter. We can charge you with any crime. All you got to do is commit a crime, and we can charge you then with any crime that we want. As long as you commit a crime, you can be sentenced for any crime. And people think that's okay. And people think that's reasonable. And people think that's how the law should work. Guys, do you not understand how? Do you guys understand? Are you guys like understanding my point of view? Are you guys understanding how dangerous that is? Are you guys understanding how scary that is? That you could get caught for any crime and not be charged for the crime you committed? Be charged for any crime in the world? You get charged with anything? Just because you did something and you've been caught doing something, you can be charged with anything that they feel like charging you with? You get a fight in the bar and get life in prison? Like, guys, do you know how scary this is? You know how scary this is? That there's people out there, and it's not a small amount. Like I said, you just look through these comments, guys, and it's on and on and on. It's not a small amount. It's a large amount of people that believe things like this. That's terrifying. We need to get common sense back, guys. Common sense back in the world. All right? Well, with that being said, guys, thank you again for stopping by, guys. As always, I'm your host, Austin Froberg. This is Say What? Barstool Parlay. Thanks for stopping by, guys. As always, click like, click subscribe, share the content so other people can get this stuff, man. And they got their own opportunity to check in and see what's new and what we're doing, okay? And like I said, we got new stuff coming out. It's going to be really great. Stay tuned. Stay up to date. Keep watching. Appreciate all of you. Love you guys. Peace out. Deuces.